Hi, thanks for watching. Today I wanted to talk about how to love your INFP. And there are 5 ways that I was going to discuss today, although there are many other ways. And please feel free to leave your additional thoughts in the comments section about this. Okay, so the first tip that I have is to actively respect the INFP by seeking out and then truly listening to their ideas and never mocking their intelligence. So basically, to actively respect the INFP is the first tip. And the reason why this is so important is because when you think about the way an INFP's personality is formed, a lot of times what happens is on the inside, they are fully just bubbly and alive and very interested in people and just full of life on the inside. And a lot of times, this is not always the case, but a lot of times this is the way they were as a child. They just had these great imaginations, they probably talked a lot, but someone in their life, or maybe more than one person, sort of their behavior or putting down the INFP made the INFP realize that they were too much. So what happened is, as a child, the INFP sort of closed in their true personality. So all of that is on the inside, but on the outside, they're just very quiet and they keep to themselves because they feel they have very low self-esteem when it comes to revealing who they truly are. And like I said, this is not always the case, but with some INFPs, a good bit of us, this is what happened. Like somewhere in our childhood, we were told, either blatantly told or just through the behavior of our parents or an older sibling or something, that we were too much. And because we're so sensitive, we absorb that and we followed through on that, and we sort of learned to hide ourselves and put on a mask of just quiet and shyness to cover up like all these big ideas we have and all this love that we have for people and life and everything. So as adults, we usually are battling with low self-esteem because we still hold on to those childhood feelings of like there's something wrong with us, like our personality is too much, our ideas are too much, we're not smart enough, we're not good enough, we're not like other people. So if we're in a relationship with someone who seems to agree with those ideas that we have about ourselves, then that is terrible. And we start to resent that person, even though they feel the same way, they seem to feel the same way we do about ourselves. We still start to resent that person. So that's why it's super important for whether you're in any sort of relationship with an INFP, whether it's a friend, a coworker, or like a significant other, especially a significant other, it's super important to actively show respect to the INFP. Make sure that they know in a world where they may not feel accepted, you are one of the few people who does accept and respect them fully. And that way they'll feel comfortable enough to reveal their true personality to you and not just be like a shy, quiet potato around you. The second tip is we know that arguments happen between people sometimes, especially if they're like your significant other or a close friend even. So how can you show love to an INFP when you are in a little spat with them? Well, this might help. Is to remember that it often takes us a ridiculously long time to verbalize our emotions. So if we just go silent, that doesn't necessarily mean we're giving you the silent treatment or that we're trying to hurt you. Usually it's the opposite. Usually it's us desperately trying to figure out how to explain ourselves to you without hurting you because we care about you. I know this has happened to me like 2 times in my life. Yeah, 2 times with 2 people who I really, really cared about a lot. And I know they thought I was giving them the silent treatment, but it wasn't that. It was I just could not verbalize my emotions. I could not find the words. I could write them down, but I couldn't say them out loud. So, yeah, I guess, I'm sorry, every other personality type, but you have to be really patient with INFPs when we get into these, like little spats with you guys, because sometimes it can take us a really long time to figure out how to say what we're feeling. And that's partly because we feel so many huge emotions and we are guided by these huge emotions. Like they inform everything we do. It's just hard to put that into like verbalized words. We could probably write a poem about it or draw a picture of it, but to say it to you, it's really hard, especially if we really, really care about you, because we're also very afraid of hurting you. So please just be patient with us when it takes us a long time to talk to you. The third tip is to always be honest. And this is hard because we live in a world where it's difficult to be honest. But the thing about INFPs is usually we are really good at catching someone in a lie. This does get a little more difficult when we love someone, because we tend to get a little go blind when we're in love. But even then, at a certain point, there comes a point where it's like, wait a second, I can tell this person who I love is lying. So it's really a good idea to just go ahead and be honest with us. And I have this friend, I think I've said this on YouTube before, but I have this friend who says you can tell a person anything as long as you say it the right way. And I do firmly believe that. So if you did something that, you're ashamed of or whatever, or or maybe you don't agree with your INFP friend or significant other about something and they ask for your opinion, it could be tempting to lie just to save face or to try and secure your relationship with the INFP. But honestly, it's probably better to just tell the truth, but to say it in a gentle way, a really gentle, empathetic, and nice way. Otherwise, if we catch someone in a lie, even if we care about them, we will distance ourselves from them, because I know I would view it as a lack of respect. Like, this person doesn't even respect me enough to tell me the truth. So then that would pretty much end the relationship, or at least the depth of the relationship. It would weaken it. Okay, the third tip is to always, always, always have your INFP's back in public. Otherwise, their trust in you will wither and die. And this goes back to that part about the first suggestion about showing respect, because once again, we often struggle with low self-esteem, and because we are usually pretty quiet, and usually we do have ideas that are not mainstream, this means we do often face ridicule in public. So if we're with a group of friends and we say something about, I don't know, some movie that nobody else likes that we like, we're like, yeah, I really love that movie, it just really touched my heart or something. And then people start laughing at the INFP and kind of making fun of them. Well, hopefully what the INFP would like is for their significant other or their close friend to somehow come to their defense, either by changing the subject so that people stop ridiculing them, or by saying, well, there were some good things about that movie or whatever. Just the point is, just whenever you're in public with your INFP, make sure that you have their back, because that's what the INFP would do for someone who they truly love. And if that's not reciprocated, the INFP will be like, the way our minds, the way our thoughts go, the INFP would think, well, I would do that for someone who I cared about. So if he or she didn't do that for me, that means they must not care about me. So that means our relationship should be over. That's kind of the way we think sometimes. It can be very black and white and very much about, well, if I were in this situation, I would do this, but they didn't do that. So that means they must feel blah, blah, blah. That may not be the right way to think, but that is the pattern of our thinking a lot of times. So that's why it's really important to like have your INFPs back in public always. Um, and the last tip is to give us space when we ask for it. And sometimes when we ask for it, that may not mean like verbally saying, hey, I need some space. Can you give me space? I mean, a lot of times it will. But then there are times when you'll notice your INFP is just like at their computer working on their novel for like 4 hours a day. When before they were hanging out with you and using those 4 hours to, I don't know, just hang out with you or whatever. And all of a sudden, they're fully invested in working on this novel for 4 hours a day. And you're kind of like, what's going on? This is weird. Well, it is weird, but that's because we're weird. And sometimes we have these creative projects that kind of help us to find our balance again. Like sometimes we need to unplug from like our closest friends even, and just fully invest ourselves into a creative project where we can dump all of our emotions and all of our feelings. And then once we're done with the creative project, then we go back to our friends and to being slightly normal. I know that can be annoying, but if you're in a relationship as a significant other with an INFP, that might actually be something to talk about that the INFP can compromise on. Because although we do need our space, if it does get to a point where we're like too much into ourselves and into our projects, then maybe we do need a little tap on the shoulder, to compromise a little bit. Maybe instead of spending 4 hours a day on our novel, maybe spend 2 and use the other 2 to, build our relationship with you, our significant other, or something like that. So while giving us our space is important, that may also be something to factor in to let us know how we can be a good partner to you as well, because we need to know that too. All right, so those are my 5 suggestions on how to love your INFP. And just to recap, the first one was to actively respect your INFP. When involved in a spat, remember that it often takes a long time for us to verbalize our emotions. And always, always, always have your INFPs back in public. Always be honest. And give us space when we ask for it. I guess that's all I have. If you have any other thoughts on that, like I mentioned earlier, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.